Episode 78, 79, 80, could be whatever. Who cares? It's a podcast.
Yeah, it's good.
TRT show podcast this week with Northside BJJ's black belt, Mr. Tom Bermingham. What's the crack, man?
It's good, man. It's good. The crack is good.
We've done a few rolls there, rolls in Northside. So anyone living on the Northside, Coolock, Donamead, Raheny area, basically where Tom is he's over Mind Over Matter gym. He's his own matted floor area up there, and you're doing adults, beginners,
kids at the minute. Going to hit teens soon. The teens will be probably during the summer. We'll start doing the teens.
Savage.
That's it.
Savage.
Yeah, it's gone well.
No, nice few rolls in there with I had a little roll with me nemesis. He used to be up in Charlestown. He always used to gauge myself off steak. And the last time I went with him there, he fucking nipped me up like I was in a bleeding sleeping bag. I was like fucking fuming, you know.
Man, he trained so hard, you know. He just come down and he just was dedicated, and he just hit it hard every night, and always working on his technique. And then never done competitions before. Said he always didn't like it, but I think just with that community feeling or whatever, he started being like, oh, I'll hit a few competitions, and then just felt comfortable in there. And smashed it the last few. One Dublin Open, Patton John's one Dublin Open, and one, what else? Let's see, Grappling Industries won that, and then it done the advanced division this time in Grappling Industries. So I think he got bronze in that one. Had some tough fights, but fighting higher belts and way more experienced competitors.
Savage.
He's gotten really good, you know.
No, slick. He's after getting slick in the past while. So
for sure.
So you started off, you're affiliated to Darragh O'Connell East Coast Jiu-Jitsu. So now there's an East Coast Jiu-Jitsu affiliate. Is there any other on the north side?
That's the North side. The next one is Drogheda.
Primal.
The next one Primal, but Ben.
So up in Drogheda.
Yeah, that'll be the next one now. And Ben's going there. He's gone strong a long time.
Savage.
But yeah, he brown belt under Darragh. But yeah, nothing on the north side. Just jiu-jitsu gyms. You know, a lot of MMA gyms and stuff, but just jiu-jitsu gyms where you can kind of, it's you don't have people that are heavy into cage fighting.
That
competition, you know, it can be.
And it is a different type of jiu-jitsu, even though it's like strict jiu-jitsu, whereas MMA can be kind of grappling heavy. They'll sit in guard, sit in half guard. They're not going to go anywhere else. Whereas strict jiu-jitsu, it's a different animal, and it's a purist. It's a lot different.
For sure, and it's the same with like Thai boxing. Wherever you get people that are just into that, and then you can't. The amount of time they spend on that, it just can't be. You know, all the other martial arts, you have to put this and this much time into it.
Tough.
It's tough to get so good at them all. You know, it really is. Like, and that's why I feel like it's never going to go away. You know, the purist. The purist will never go away. Even though MMA gets more popular, I feel like the purist will never go away, because at the end of the day, like it's just deep. It's deep, and you know, like jiu-jitsu is for sure. I feel like
it is. So how did you come across, you're from north side or south side originally?
Yeah, I'm from Ballybock originally.
Okay.
From Ballybock originally, and then we moved, my mum and dad, they bought a house in Santry when I was 15.
Okay.
So I moved up there, but I moved out shortly after that. So we were always on the north side, you know. And started jiu-jitsu in Team Balance with Ray Butcher.
Okay.
Ray Butcher?
Yeah.
Started with him in Team Balance. He was always supportive, a great coach I had at the start. And after I got my blue belt off him, won the Irish Open a few times at white belt, got my blue belt off him. Then I went to Australia for a little under a year ish, and trained more grappling over there. I was kind of training MMA at the same time, you know what I mean, kind of dipping your toes in a little bit, but I always felt my body was just better for jiu-jitsu. I was always like, I felt just calmer in jiu-jitsu than striking. Came back from Australia and wanted to really hit the competition scene hard. I was like, right, like I never good at anything my whole life. Do you know what I mean? It was always like kind of mates, drinking, music, kind of stuff. It was never sport in my life. You know, I did a little bit of swimming when I was a kid, but when I found out that I was like actually decent at something, it's like all of a sudden you know, and I was late going into it. I started jiu-jitsu at 21.
Right.
You know, so I was late-ish going
Jeez, that's late. That's late,
No, it is for sure, especially, but I hit it hard. You know, I hit it hard. And then when I came back from Australia, ended up going to Andy Ryan's.
Yes.
Won the Irish Open a few times, and then got my purple belt. And then at the purple belt, went over. I met Darrow at the Europeans, and he was like, stall it over. So I was like, and all those boys were, you know, they were getting really good. Like IBJJF. I think Darrow was the first Irish person to medal at an adult IBJJF tournament.
Right.
Or the first one to win one as well.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like watching him at London Open was just, you know, it was just like, well, that's where you have to go. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
But and then it's all history from there. Just every day, packed up my stuff from Santry, got a place in Blackrock. I think for at the time now the rent was 50 quid a week.
Right.
So got a place that was actually my friend's mom's house, and let me stay in a room for like 50 quid a week. And I think I was living on a €10 a day for about 5 years. And I just hit it hard.
That jiu-jitsu lifestyle.
I was like, there was no, it was, you know, it was a beach and a gym here, and then I had a house, you know, that I could afford. So yeah, it was big. It was a long process, but that flew in, man. I was like, you know, it seems like a long time, but that flew in, you know.
I remember the first time I ever heard your name was Richie Smullen was mad into Dean Lister and stuff at the time, and footlocks and stuff, and he goes, there's a fella up here there a few weeks ago. This was probably 5-6 years ago, maybe a bit more. And he goes, Tom Bermingham, he's from East Coast. He's decent on the legs, and it's like, ooh. And people that were on the legs that time were like magicians, you know. Or even he does footlocks, does he?
Yeah, I did a few. I used to do straight footlocks more so, and then I got into the straight footlock for sure, the Achilles, and then with the X guard, with Dara's X guard, it was kind of, I was always able to kind of be strong and control that position a little bit, and sometimes I'd just really be able to get a good lock on that position. The Achilles was always, and Dean Lister's tips really paid off, because Dean Lister was like always about bellying out and always looking at the wall behind you, looking at the wall behind you, and that kind of stuff, and then high up on the ankle, you know. Now I'm more into the Mikey stuff, the Musameshi stuff on that side, and then the heel hooks as well. Loved the heel hook entries. That really, when I started doing that, obviously after my knee surgery, but when I started doing that, I was like, oh, this suits, you know, I liked it. Yeah. But Richie was always good, man. I think that time I went out with, do you remember Peter, Big Peter from Purple Belt, from I can't remember his second name, Peter from SVG.
Okay.
But he used to bring me out. I used to train with him, and he used to bring me out to SBG. And I used to roll Richie, and Richie was good at the heel hooks, but we never did any heel hooks, so I was like, fucking heel hooks. I was like, I can't get these fucking heel hooks, you know what I mean? And then the straight footlock though was always there.
And if you went for even like my little Mickey Mouse jiu-jitsu career, if you went near anyone's foot or her belt, they'd fucking flip out you're fucking Asian, what are you doing?
Now it's like sitting in the saddle. Now it's just sitting in the saddle chilling, do you know what I mean? But people used to hate it, freak out.
Yeah, do the fucking fundamentals.
The best at it in the country was fucking Brendan McGarry. So McGarry ran the rest of the straight. Man, one time
people were terrified of him.
Yeah, one time he footlocked me, man, and he gave me a hematoma on my calf.
Yeah.
And he didn't even footlock me down at the ankle. Just gave me a big purple bruise on the back of my calf. It was like my calf was going to rupture. I was like, it was crazy. But they were them days were fun. Like, they were the old days coming.
And you were like doing all the IBJJF comps, and you were doing loads of travelling.
Medal at a lot of the London ones. I always did. Funny thing enough, I always did better in no gi than I did in gi, but we trained gi more.
Yes.
You know, so like Dara was always in the gi. I think we did one when Dara was doing the ADCC trials. We started to wrestle and do more no gi and stuff like that. But most of the time we were training in the gi, but my style just played in. I was a scrambler.
Yeah.
You know, I liked to scramble, so my style was played into no gi a good bit better. You know.
Yeah.
And so all my medals are from the IBJJFs, are from the no-gi, a few bronzes, a few silvers, and British Open silvers and bronzes as well. A lot of that from a few gis as well, a few gi medals as well from the British Opens and the IBJJFs in London.
Yeah.
Made it good fights, good few fights deep in the Europeans, a good few times.
Yeah.
A purple belt, you know. But that was kind of all my injuries. Injuries then play a big role. Injuries play a big role in your training. And when I got my brown belt, I tore my ACL, my meniscus, my cartilage got ripped up as well, and my MCL torn, and my ALL. So all the majors pretty much, except for my my lateral my lateral cruciate. That was the only one that didn't. And lucky enough, the doctor was like, he went in, done the surgery, and he was like, oh yeah, we thought it was just ACL. You went in and you needed about 3 more. But he was like, because you've no insurance, he was like, well, we done them for you for nothing. He was like,
good,
so I
man.
was supposed to get the ACL in. He took my meniscus out, my cartilage, and repaired back the side of my ALL here. Took a bit of my IT band out.
Yeah,
brought it down.
Sound.
Yeah, like sound.
Nice one.
Yeah.
Nice one.
It was funny, man. But the knee, after the knee, heel hooks were just coming in. So I was like in that mid space where I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do here? Am I gonna just dive in head first? And I just did. I was like, right, just gave people my legs, and I was like, just tap, tap, tap. You know, the whole time, just giving people my legs, watching the videos, turning the heel out. I knew turning the heel. I was like, you know, but I was a brown belt at the time, it was funny.
Every little blue belt latching onto it.
Yeah, exactly, man, for sure.
Just tap the brown belt, I'm retiring.
Yeah, for sure. And it was a tough road back after that, for sure. But I as soon as I opened the gym, I got massive new life, you know, shot into my jiu-jitsu, and it was like my jiu-jitsu was always tainted by your negative thoughts. Do you know what I mean? It was always tainted, and I was always thinking to myself, I was always like, how am I so negative or whatever? And it was always kind of like, yeah, you're good, but you're not that good. And, you know, always tainted. But then when I teach the lads jiu-jitsu, there's just no taint. Win or lose, doesn't matter how, if they're bad in a position, I'm like, yeah, but you're a savage. Because I can just see how they were when they first started. Yeah. And I'm like, how far they've come. I can see that, and it's an honest view of their jiu-jitsu as opposed to your own.
But I think if you don't have that negative, every sports person, I've been surrounded by high level sports people my whole life, and that one fucking serious stuff, and every one of them, if you don't have that imposter, that's what gets you out of bed. For sure. You have to fight past that to become good.
No,
do you know what I mean?
For sure. And I always found it hard to strike that balance between that imposter syndrome, like that depression that it gives you, and that ambition to fight over it. That was always my hardest battle. The mind balance, you know. It was always there. You know, some of my best win in competition was, it wasn't even, I think it was for a bronze medal, but the one that I always remember was, it was the only one I've ever fought back from losing and guillotined someone in the last 10 seconds. Right. And it was just the only one. Every other time that I fight, my mind would beat me if I was losing. Yes. And then I would just beat myself, right? And then I would never come back. But that one, I don't know what it was. I just came back and was able to tap the guy in that, and got a bronze medal, I think, in London. And that win just stuck with me forever. It was like, how did you recreate that? You know, that feeling of coming back. That's the hardest part. All the rest, technique, everything else feels hard, but the hardest part for me was always just myself, you know, beating myself in there. That was always a big one. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to share it out with my lads now. One of my lads, he's fantastic. I've never seen anyone like get the positions down so fast, you know. Yeah. But he's similar to me. He's never done sport before, so that grit and that grind is just hard for him. That's his battle. Yeah. You know, so I'm trying to help him through that, and I'm seeing myself in him. I see myself, and I see my own battles in him, and trying to help him through that battle, because the skill is there all day. Yeah. But if the mind isn't there in competition, it's not the same, right? It's not the same. You do need both, you know. And it's tough. Like, it's overwhelming, especially about jiu-jitsu, like, because everyone's looking at you. Like, if you're cycling or if you're doing something, you're in a race, there's nobody, everyone's like, and even people, like, I was looking at about 4 matches at that Grappling Industries. So I can look at 4 matches at once, and you're like, oh, he lost. You know what I mean? So everyone's looking at you. And you know, and if you're a name, it's like, you know, when you come up against, or you're against someone from East Coast or Max was ever, it's like, these fellas know what the sus is. In jiu-jitsu, do you know what I mean? For sure. They're up there. You know, they're top in the country. They know their positions. He's not entering anyone that's not going to win. You know, so this bloke is decent. So all the eyes are on them. Or all the eyes are going to be on lads from your gym because they're under you. You know what I mean? No, for sure. And I'm trying to come with that. Yeah, and I try and say that to my lads. You know what I mean? The pressure shouldn't be there. You know, we're always, like, some of them only have a few competitions under their belts. You know, and like, the pressure is hard, but you gotta, like, love the process. I can't teach them. I can teach them everything coming up to the tournament, but I can't teach them how to be in there, and I can't teach them their own process of warming up, doing all this stuff. I can help them along that, but that all that, like, you know, people do mad stuff like they kiss their rabbits for they have their process for the competition. That's all you, and I have to try and how do you nurture that through, and that's the kind of stuff I'm going. Because I can understand jiu-jitsu and I can give them jiu-jitsu, but how do you give them the rest? You know, that's the hardest part. I listen to a few coaches and stuff like that, and a lot of wrestling coaches I listen to, you know, a lot of stuff like that, you know, mentality, because they're grappling the longest out of any grapplers, right? So they know.
Like the Plato.
Struggles. Exactly.
Plato was a wrestler.
Exactly. So that mentality, I think they have it best, you know, that grind out mentality. So, and obviously different wrestlers, like Dagestani wrestlers are different from the American wrestlers. They're all about toughness. The Dagestanis are all about the, like, better at technique the whole time, better at technique, you know, the whole time. But
when you hear guys like what's his name from America, the fucking, I think he only lost one wrestling match.
Is it Cael Sanderson?
No, he's old now at this age. Was on Rogan there a while ago.
Oh, Dan Gable.
Yeah,
of course, man. The Gable.
So when you hear Dan Gable talking about that, he studied Russian positions, even though he couldn't read what was in the books. He was studying their positions. It's like
he's a competitor for sure.
The Americans are all on like strength, brute strength, strength and condition, whereas the Russians haven't really got all that fancy stuff
it's
over
all
the years.
about,
it's all about play, movement, not juice. Exactly.
Strategies for
They're
sure.
the best wrestlers in the world, the Russians.
For sure. Yeah, for sure, man. And that's the thing, like the Americans always prided themselves on how tough could you be, like how tough is your mind, how far can you push, never recede, right? And then like the eastern side of it is all about like outsmart, get the trip, outsmart the guy if he's push and pull, right? It's all about that kind of stuff. Feel it out, exactly, feel it out. And I love that style of jiu-jitsu as well. You know, that whole like this whole like spamming moves or fighting fire with fire. This is what I say to my lads. I'm like, why are you fighting fire with fire? Why are you doing that? He has you in a guillotine and you're just roughing it out. Right? It was like, there has to be a position where you can get out of that, right? There has to be a way that you can get out of that without. Let's work it out. You know, don't just go out of this room going, fuck, I'm gonna go harder next day. Think about it, you know, really unravel it in your head, live in the position, see where it goes. And the lads I think all appreciate that, you know, for sure, that mentality as opposed to roughing it out.
And when you see guys like Sadulayev, who's a monster, but how he moves, you know, he's moving, he's feeling the person out.
For sure.
Or you see any of the Dagestani
that's
guys,
someone who's dangerous, man. Do you know what I mean? Someone who can do it all like that. Do you know what I mean? Not just be like, oh, I'm the toughest cunt on the market. Do you know what I mean?
For being so big, how he flips, how he moves, it's like he's doing gymnastics or something as well. It's not just all here, I'm getting you off the mat. You know?
It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. No, it's so good.
And it's like the Dagestani guys in MMA, when they get caught in guillotines, it's like they're not like roughing it out. They're moving slightly, turning, and then once the squeeze is off, they're gone.
They know
like
their positions are safe everywhere. That's what I mean. And you can only get safe in your positions everywhere if you train the positions, right? A lot of people coast. That was one of my biggest fears. It was, you know, when someone gets good and they get good at a style in jiu-jitsu, and then all of a sudden that's their bread and butter, and they don't want to be anywhere else. And then I always used to call them like the headlock guy or the pin guy or whatever they were in the gym. They were that guy. And I always used to say to lads, I'm always like, if I turn into that guy, don't kill me, right? I was like, if I'm there, I was like, kick me out of jiu-jitsu for good, because I always wanted to be like, right, how do you do that position? How do you do this position? Why are you a guy that's only good at this? Why aren't you? You know, you're here every day. You should be getting better in all your positions, you know, for sure. And then living in the position is a big thing. Not being afraid to get tapped, you know, and living in that position. Be like, choke me, come on, like, do you know what I mean? Living there, you know.
I find some guys, and I probably was like this earlier on, but I'm different now. Even though I still love jiu-jitsu, I'm still passionate about jiu-jitsu. I don't do it as much as I'd like to do, but anyway, I put myself in, like, if I come across a white belt or a blue belt, I'll give me back. Like, I want to escape that position. You know what I mean? Like, or I'll give him something instead of this like battle. He's not passing me guard.
That's what, man. So it's the hardest thing to convey to a beginner. It's the hardest thing. Like, they're reacting to the touch, right? As opposed to acting out the touch and going through its process. That's the hardest thing about the beginner's class. But I feel like a beginner's class then should probably be more like right how to act in jiu-jitsu, or how to process the information in jiu-jitsu, as opposed to just robotic positions, right? So if you can get a beginner to flow and move, all of a sudden he starts to, he's like countering, moving into positions. He understands where all the positions are first, and then he can start to really be robotic and be technical about it, right? Whatever. But if you can get them moving first, because that's the hardest part. The teaching beginners has been mad for me. It's been like up and down, because I used to teach beginners sometimes, but we had a very specific curriculum to teach them. But now I've gone through like specific stuff, just going, right, feck it, let's just see where you go, see where you end up, and then all the time. So I've been going up and down with it. And I find that the best combination is a little bit of stand up for them, understanding where they're going, how to move on their feet, and then to the ground, and how to get back up off the ground and stuff like this. But just flowing in and out, understanding where they're safe, and then all of a sudden you can start to teach them how to attack, right? Because then they're not just going spamming an attack move, or, or I do this move, and then they're everywhere else they're freezing up. So I saw, and them understanding, seeing the higher belts like yourself, giving their backs, and getting in arm bars, and doing that kind of stuff helps them go, right, these lads don't care if they lose, or in the gym, they don't care about that, for sure. And that's the only way you get better in those positions. Escaping arm bars. Imagine you've been caught in an arm bar, and you've only done it in not live drilling. You've only done it in reps. And then you're just going to freak out. You know what I mean? Like, if you've done it in live, if we're doing positional and we're doing it live all the time, you're like, right, I've been here. I know in your mind then. Right? For sure. That's a big one then, I think, is going to change with jiu-jitsu in the next future, how to teach beginners.
And even,
that's a big one.
like, I was looking at, Marcus Phelan's matches at Grappling Industries. I was looking at a few of the high level guys, because I love jiu-jitsu. I love watching it, I love doing it. And I'm like, the reason why they're so good is they just do the basic stuff really good. And it's like, my foot's on the outside, on the inside. My foot's on the outside. And they never, the way when you come up a beginner and he'll pull back 3 times, pull back. They're going to pull back 20 times. They're just keeping, now, my 2 feet and my 2 legs, and he come up on a single, or he came up on a single leg, your man ran off the mat.
Marco's guard retention is
a savage, man.
It's outrageous. His guard retention is so good, how to get past his frames and his legs. It's so good. And once you have that security, if you practice that kind of security, you have that guard retention, all of a sudden you're just at a different level again. Do you know what I mean? Because your comfortable position is someone trying to get past your legs. That's the hardest part of passing, right? Getting past, but you're comfortable there. So how does that chap even match that level of comfortability? Right? And that's what Marco's like. He's so good in that position. And
the Polish guy he was against was like trying to sneak up pass, pressure pass, and in half guard, and he was like Marco, breaking grip, and then turning it. You know what I mean? It's like
he's got Dara on him all day.
That's fucking like it sounds. It's me and you were talking about it, and people are probably good jiu-jitsu people are listening to me going, "What the fuck?" But it's like doing repetition of that. When you get rid of that little shit, you don't get caught with the big shit.
For sure. You know what I mean? You have to address things. For sure. You have to address
have
things.
A second. Get
if you're just letting someone stuck your leg and live in headquarters on top of you, and you're not addressing that situation. If you don't have your ins and outs to address that situation, that goes past. You know what I mean? You're living in a defensive cycle then. Do you know what I mean? You're letting this guy get you in headquarters. It's like you try and get Marco in headquarters, he has 3 or 4 different counters, out of that scenario, and then he's entering legs or whatever. But if you're just letting a guy pressure you like that, or hold your head, or pin your arm, stuff like this, that guy you're in the defensive cycle and you're reacting to that guy. That's one of the things teaching beginners not to react to those grips. Understand that you can react, but you have to get yourself into a better position out of it, Don't just and then the guy replaces. You get, I call it just spamming stuff, or what was it, you get into this cycle of just defend attack people do. Man, that's a massive thing in gyms, watching that. But I feel like that's a coach's job to tell the person, because that person in there, they're scared of jiu-jitsu, they're scared of being choked, they're scared of looking stupid in front of a group full of people. So they're scared of all these factors. But if you address these situations and make them feel comfortable, and make them feel not scared of those situations, and understand that this guy is your actual friend, he likes you, he needs you to train. If they understand that coming, and that's where communication comes in as well. But if they understand that, all of a sudden he feels good when his friend taps him, and he's like, "How'd you do that?"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and then it becomes a problem to solve and not something to go out the door slumped down about.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Ask him, he'll
Yeah.
tell you. Show me
Exactly.
that. How did you catch that? I ask people all the time.
Irish people are shy of that, aren't they?
I ask all the time. It's like, you caught me in that. Fucking show me that. You know what I mean?
Man,
And
it's
good
necessary.
people will show you.
Yeah.
Shit bags won't show you.
Yeah, and then
you know what I
then
mean?
you know.
Yeah,
Then
good
you know,
people
right?
will show you. Come here.
Yeah.
Any really good guys I've ever asked, like, they'll always show you in detail, and your hand was there and it should have been here. They'll always show you.
And man, the reason that is because they're so secure in their jiu-jitsu. That stuff they learn, you know, they're already on a trajectory.
Yeah.
So here,
They're
you know
like
what I
10
mean?
steps
They know,
ahead
and
of you.
because they're so secure in their, because their trajectory is this,
Yeah.
you know, they're like, yeah, of course I'll show you that because I know everything. You know, I know I'm on this fucking trajectory. You know, I'm learning all the time. You'll have to catch up to me to even be that level.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? As opposed to. So like that's why someone is like that. That's security, you know. And I want to try that, and I want to make that feeling for beginners in my gym. Security, that they know they're not going to go in there and some guy's not going to pull their head off, and then they're going to be out for however long.
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
They're not going to get a slip disc, you know.
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, you're trying to get everyone into jiu-jitsu. You're not just trying to get the athletes. You're not just trying to get the young kids. You're trying to get the guys that are 35, 40, 50 in as well.
Yeah.
You know, like it changes people's lives. We have a guy who started. We have a guy who started with us at 45, 44, 45.
Dead.
I met him in the gym doing my rehab for my knee.
Okay.
And he was just like, do you do jiu-jitsu? Do you? You know, that kind of way. And I was like, yeah, I do, but I don't have a club now or whatever. I'm thinking about it. And I was like, you can go down to my friend's club down here. He has a gym down in North Strand. It's 10 Planet in Dublin.
Yeah.
And I was like, you can go down there or whatever. And he's like, when are you opening the club? You know? And it kind of gave me a little kick in the arse. I was like, oh. You know, someone kind of wants to learn off me or whatever. So he was one of the first, and he started at 45, and then he was the beast of the gym.
Deadly.
He used to play GA, and he's broke up to bits.
Yeah.
But you give him a bit, and then he was putting it on all the lads, like the 20-year-olds, and he's putting it on them all. And it's just like, Jesus, you know, people have a lot of life left in that they don't give themselves credit for.
Yeah.
You know, they have a lot of life in them, man, and especially like someone's laughing now, going, at 40, you're starting jiu-jitsu at 40, are you? Do you know what I mean? Someone's laughing at you doing that, you know, and man, his mates all slag him. They all slag him, oh, did you do this? And it's like, get down to the gym and slag him then. You know, you'll see how strong, you'll see how good he is.
What
then.
kept me at it? So we were talking about, you said earlier on that you were going to run the kids class just before the adults class.
Yeah.
Your whole idea.
Yeah.
And your whole idea is how I started. So Yvonne was bringing Max to jiu-jitsu. I kind of didn't really know what it was, but kind of knew what it was. And I was collecting them, and I seen, like, I wasn't grey then, but I seen these grey-haired outfits going in, and it's like, they fucking do that as well.
I'm getting into it, yeah.
They fucking do that as well. So we went up the next week, and I done it. And it's been fits and starts, but I've always actively done it since then.
Yeah,
That was
and
10
man,
years ago.
And man, that's
10 years
one
ago.
of the hardest things you can probably do in your life. Walk in at a certain age to a gym full of killers. Do you know what I mean? Walk in at a certain age, and you know, like, that's one of the hardest things you can do in your life. And that's what I say to my lads. I'm like, walking in the door. I respect people that just walk in the door and they go here. And I give them on the first class, I make everyone give them a round of applause. And I'm like, this is, you know, your first class. It's a hard thing to do to walk into a place that you think people are killers in. Do you know what I mean? Even though they're probably the nicest people you've ever been with in your entire life, you know. And that's one of the hardest things you can do, and respect to anyone that does it. You know, I always say that. But people don't give themselves enough credit in that way, you know. They don't want, they think they all want, loads of people want to do it, and I know they do, you know, and you can tell, but they're always like, that's not for me, you know. You can hear it in them, you know, it's not for
And I'm
me.
going to call out all the fuckers that message me on this podcast and message me on this Instagram page. All you cunts. There's Northside BJJ, because they all live around here, and they're all like, yeah, I'm going to go down, I must, no excuses, Northside Jiu-Jitsu, or if you want to do MMA, there's fucking readies open, but they're all like, you must, and you're still not fucking doing it. Do it. Join the fucking gym.
I promise if they walk in the door, we're the nicest bunch of cunts you've ever met in your life.
Beginners, you know, it's
That's it.
every gym, because it's so tough. Every jiu-jitsu gym is welcoming because it's so tough. If they don't be, they're going to lose everyone.
Yeah,
it's
especially after like 2 or 3 years. After a year, you're kind of saying to yourself, like, we had lads at the beginning of the class being like, "Jeez, it's very hard, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's pretty hard." I was like, "This is probably one of the hardest things you'll ever do in your life for sure." It's like, I'm doing it now 13, 14 years, and I still am swimming in an ocean, in the middle of the ocean, looking around going, fuck, where am I, what's my direction, you know? You still don't have direction after that, but that's why it's so beautiful, right? It's an art in that it never my style now is completely different from what I'm doing there, and I can grow and grow the whole time, always. And it never stops, I see people for years, it never stops. Once you have the passion and the love, it never stops. And lads do be like, oh, this guy, you make it look easy, and I'm like, yeah, but I've been grinding for the last 14 years. And it's like, just because you're not here a year, you know, you have to have respect for this, and it'll take you far. But people that do love it and they love that grind, they end up just addicted. Addicted, man, for sure.
The more you do it, the easier it gets.
100%, lads are good.
But also, when I was a white belt, I think what would have been 10 years ago at this stage, I'd done a drop-in class for a place in New York called Clockwork Jiu-Jitsu. It's in the village. Nice. And I remember just dropping in, paid me whatever, $10 getting into it. And it was kind of during the day, so it was 1 o'clock. And I came across this bloke, he's a brown belt, and he's 75. He's 75. And like, my goal for jiu-jitsu was, when I get blue belt, that's it, I'm going to retire. I just kind of wanted to get a blue belt. That's what he used to say to me. I get a blue belt and that's it, I'm going to retire. And after speaking to him, then I was like, oh no, I'm going all the fucking way with this. Because, like, he just goes to me, I was a fucking white belt, and he goes, we'll just flow, and he was super off his back. He was berimbolo, everything. He's 75. 75.
Savage.
He could move. He's so flexible. Like that, and I was just like, this dude's 75. So that's 10 years ago. And I was just like, now, I followed Clockwork Jiu-Jitsu, and he got his black belt then about 4 years later. Brilliant. You know what I mean? So it's like, to myself going, Jiu-Jitsu is for everyone. 1,000%. It's for everyone, you know what I mean?
1,000%. Like a lad like that, I love that. Do you know what I mean? A lad like that, and learning modern jiu-jitsu as well. You know, it's fantastic when you see that. Some people never pick that up young, so it's fantastic when you see that. And
he took it up when he retired. He took it up at 65 and went down there every single day.
That guy's 85 now. He's probably been a black belt for nearly 10 years or whatever. And it's like, what's the difference to that? You know what I mean? Like, he's still a black belt. You know, what difference did it make? And it might seem like such a milestone, but he's probably still rolling around, or he's probably still learning a bit of jiu-jitsu, you know, at 85. And
I'd imagine he was like very picky going with me, as when you get older, you do be picky, you know what I mean?
For sure.
You're picky, and fair play to him, he showed me loads of stuff, but I was like, after I met him, I was like, no, I'm going to go a bit further with this.
Oh man, and that's why it's so good, and you can see that, you know. But don't ever say to anyone that 40 is too old to start. That's what people be thinking. I was like, that's just, I was like, God, upside down on his head as well. Do you know what I mean? Just like
slick off his back, and everything, he was slick, you know.
It's the funniest sight.
You know, one of them, he was kind of like the meows, like his feet were on his hands. Like, the fuck.
Yeah, exactly. Some people probably never get to that flexibility at 20, you know. It's funny, man. And someone, you know, that you can't take that away from anyone that done that. You know what I mean? It's so good, like, to get there. It is, really is. So I hope I'm rolling around at 75.
I know, 100%. So anyone listening to this, get into Tom, join up, beginners program. Thanks. I'm going to cut this short now because it's pissing rain.
It is shy
on this. I really enjoyed it. Do an open mat every Sunday.
We do open mat Sunday at 1 p.m. and we have Friday at 6 p.m. And anyone's welcome to train. Anyone's always welcome to train. Come down if you're high level, if you're a beginner. All the lads are always in there trying to lab it out, trying to always get better. And that's what it's about down here. It's just trying to get better the whole time. So if you're in that mindset, you can always come down.
Have you any girls in the gym?
We do. We have 6 women at the minute started. We have 6 women. A few coming in. A few more experience. We have, I think our longest is now training about a year and a half.
Nice.
So 6 women at the minute. And that's really good, because once you get that's what happened in East Coast. When you get that block of women training together, you get more. And then they all come in together, and then they have their community as well in there. And, you know, then all of a sudden it becomes a different type of gym as well, you know. It's good. It's good.
My wife was training jiu-jitsu for a while, but it was just like mostly men. And after a while, when you're having bad days, it's just like
it's hard. They have that advantage on you, man, and it's like being the smallest guy in the room. 50-kilo guy versus everyone else. You know, it's like you're getting hammered all day. Very hard to do that. You know. But John, I really appreciate this, man. First podcast. Really appreciate it.
Nice one, man. So much, no worries. Nice one. Get down to Tom's gym, sign up, try class, give this podcast a like, subscribe please, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Appreciate it.